I feel like I need an instruction manual.
Hey, it's not like I know how to do the normal teenage thing either. You want to play a game?
Um, what's a sugar glider? And why haven't you been cleaning its cage?
I'll show you. This is Moo. And please excuse him if he's not feeling his manners today. He used to get to travel with me all the time until I came dangerously close to splattering him on a roll one day and realized real-life animal companions aren't as immune to dying as cartoon ones.
Whoa, what is it?
A sugar glider! They're not really related to flying squirrels, but it's the same basic premise. See, this is his wing skin. I mean, he can't fly, but he falls with style.
Does he bite?
No, or I don't think so. Sugars kind of famously exhibit imprint behavior, kind of like geese do. So he can definitely recognize me and my dad, and might be more leery about new people. Plus, I've been ignoring him lately. I don't know. Want to try holding him anyway?
If it won't scare him too much.
Nah, he'll probably sniff about and then jump back to me after a bit, I'd wager.
He's so tiny. I'm afraid to squish him. Look at that itty bitty nose of his. I think I've nearly stepped on 6 knives since I've been here.
Dad says I'm a slob. He's probably right.
The months since her move had given Anna some time to settle in, and I looked around at walls covered in superhero posters, news clippings, and anime pinups. Noticeably absent was a lack of anything native to Gotham, both in terms of villainous portrayals and heroic ones, which was strange for a girl who had clearly loved living there. There were dartboards on the walls and an assortment of knives, spikes, stars, and other weapons stuffed into sacks and crates. The only orderly part of the room, somewhat counterintuitively, was a desk that had books and notebooks neatly organized upon it. Wait a minute. You're in chemistry? That's well above our grade.
I don't know about that. It only makes it more noticeable how bad I am at reading. English, history, other languages. I'm in remedial everything. You can't get far like that. You have to be able to apply, and that takes being able to compose and express your thoughts.
I'll help you. But help me back,
Promise not to get frustrated when I get frustrated at myself, and then get more frustrated for being frustrated?
Hey. No problem, loudmouth.
Kids, food's done.
Feed me, Seymour.
I continued to be impressed by how much teenagers could eat, and tried to recall if I'd been similar once. Unfortunately, that recalled remembering childhood, and mine had a delightful multiple choice disorder to rival Anastasia's most hazy reflections.
This is really good. Thank you for cooking.
There's no cheese!
Not everything has to have cheese.
What a banterful dynamic. I mused, amused. Thank you, Sandro. Out of curiosity, how old are you?
Only 13. I know I'm, big.
I see. Explains why this imp came home one day whining about growth hormone.
Being tall's not all it's cracked up to be.
Says the person who's not suffering from shortness. Anyway, Dad said no and reminded me I'm much better than you at flips. So nya nya.
I looked down at my food and was quiet but smiling as I listened to the children jab to one another while they ate. You are playing recklessly loose with information about the child of a superhero. As if lacking for much family, you went out and found yourself a brother. From the worst, best possible place. But it's been a very long time since I've seen you play with someone. And indeed, Anastasia had upped her game and was now sticking out a tongue full of half-chewed food at Sandro, who looked like he was just about to be baited into doing likewise in a childish game of chicken. How did you two manage to bump into each other? I intervened, rescuing the boy from stooping to her level.
It was right after Nibbles died. Rest in peace and pieces, sweet valiant Niblets. Nibbles. Sandro and I both go out at night. I bribed him with pizza to make him talk to me.
Oh, sure, butter me up with bad puns. That was quite some time ago, and you've been rather exclusive companions since.
Hey, Sandro's self-conscious. I was going to tell you eventually.
I sighed, wagering I knew better, and I was about to be proven right.
What? Ow! What was that for?
Is someone's perfectly balanced diversionary dance about to topple?
Okay. He was being chased by thugs, so I helped him out. He was being chased by 3 armed thugs. Who were part of the local mafia. And I killed them. One of them had a shotgun, which is how I heard them from so far away.
You promised me.
I know.
She's been trying to work up the courage to tell you for weeks, sir.
I looked back to Anastasia, who was cringed down in her chair and looked confused and slightly frightened about what to expect from me. Squirt, if you think I set rules for the fun of it, or because I'm some well-hidden authoritarian bent, I'm going to be disappointed in your grasp of my character. I want you not to die. I want to let you outside without feeling the need to shadow you against your knowledge. I want you to prove that I can trust your judgment skills. And most importantly, I want you to actually enjoy childhood while it's still lingering about to be enjoyed. I threw down my napkin, scooped up my half-finished plate, and turned to go to the sink and wash it off. Anything to get me away from the table and from my terrified child. She was more frightened of me than of gunshots. What priorities? Though for anyone else it would have been spot on. Hey now, that's not helping, inner voice. I'd barely ever even yelled at this ridiculous child across the whole scope of her life, much less swatted her. I'd spanked her once when she'd tried to upend a pot of boiling water on herself as a toddler. The threat of a spank was enough to drive home my meaning at every other point, no? Frustrated. Frustrated. What to say? Just wash dishes. Clean new dishes. Keep occupied. Do not throw things. Do not throw a fit. The house was small and there was no going outside at this hour. I just have to keep busy at the kitchen.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize how stupid it was till a turtle was nearly falling on top of me. And then I saw they'd shoot him and I could have just run away or pretended I wasn't there. And we haven't gotten into trouble since. I'm being honest about that.
Both times she'd done something dangerous, both times I'd found out about it. She'd unexpectedly rescued someone. She had an uncanny ability to accidentally be in the right place at the wrong time. Just finish eating and go play video games for a while. We'll talk later, after you and I have both calmed down. Sandro poked and prodded Anna into finishing her food, and then accompanied her into the living room when she finally gave up on the last few noodles.
So, I'd give an arm and a leg for that reaction from my own dad. And not just because it had been delivered in an incredibly even tone either, but because her dad had been able to explain himself and his anger in a clear way. On hearing him talk that way, I wondered what my own family would think if they had found out how much trouble we'd gotten into that night. Anastasia's lucky timing, unique skill set, and unintended element of surprise had probably...
No. You don't have to rub it in.
Anna, Wildcard, I have a serious question, and it had only just occurred to me to ask. Wild, what did you see happen to me that night? A few steps into the future? If you hadn't shouted something and intervened?
I watched your head explode. Or, well, implode? There wouldn't have been much left of it still holding together by the end either way. It must have been a slug he was using, and not a buckshot. Buckshot wouldn't have done that.
I stared at her, stunned at the glazed-eyed way of transmitting this information. Wild. Do you see yourself die a lot?
Every day. Every time I jump. Every time I stand at the crosswalk watching traffic go by. Whenever I'm on the gymnastics beam. When I juggle knives. All the time.
I got the impression her father did not know that. It sounded bizarrely private, and like it belonged on an entirely different part of herself, which other people didn't get to see. After an uncertain glance back towards the kitchen, I came up to sit beside her and reached behind to rub her back and shoulders to try and pull her out of this fugue she seemed to have fallen into. Thank you for saving my life, for being my friend.
Mine.
You mad at me?
No. Thank you for making me tell the truth.
You own Dance Dance Revolution?
Oh yeah, I love it. It helps me train the same brain muscles as reading, actually.
Because of all the arrows blurring together?
It's linked to sound, and I sort of memorize the songs anyway. But it lets me hop around instead of keeping me stuck at a desk, so I really like it. I keep buying new versions and trading the old ones in.
We must immediately compete to determine who is the best. There can only be one master of the dance.
You are on!
Very loud electronica music spilled across the house. I did finally allow myself to look back across the kitchen and watch the children. They were turned away from me and trading taunts as they geared up for the first steps of what appeared to be single combat by form of dance. Anastasia had brought this boy home after weeks of silence, without a warning and without an apology. She had immediately and blatantly flaunted the fact that she intended to tell him some things she truly oughtn't, and gone so far as to point out the Glasgow smile. Then, exercising her charisma almost hamishly thick, she had proceeded to steer every conversation to avoid any discussion of his martial training, extracurricular activities, or parents, as if, by force of personality and enthusiasm alone, she could get me to play along and go, "Oh well, whatever, have fun," which to be fair might actually have been within her list of capabilities. But all of this she did as if no one's safety was at stake, as if we had not left Gotham because of a leak of information. On the other hand, I looked from Anastasia to Sandro as the two of them stepped and stomped at an equally rapid pace through the opening lines of the song. Clearly, someone is a good influence on someone.